everybody, if there's anybody there. Some of you will know that this is my second ever live broadcast on Facebook. And the first one I did kind of at the spur of the moment. I think I just gotten out of the sauna. Anyhow, I'm making a commitment to do this more often because I've had some requests for it, and also I just have so much to share with you guys coming back into work and preparing some new programs for you. Some really exciting stuff happening, and it's taking its time. I'm taking my time following that, practicing what I preach and really following my guidance and making sure that what's coming through in a way that serves you all, but also serves me and my family and everybody involved. So doing some live Facebook events like this enables me to share with you still on a constant basis whilst taking my time to really put a lot of care and love into what it is that I'm preparing for you. Anyway, I don't want to go on and on about other stuff. I want to talk about what we're actually here to talk about. Funnily enough, I was, I'm kind of a bit nervous. It's weird. It's like doing live TV or something. It's also a little bit like having a party and being concerned that no one's going to show up. So I'm just, my big Leo self is just going to take a back seat right now and say, okay, whatevs, if one or two people get something out of this, and that'll be awesome. Of course, if you are tuning in, make sure you say hello. And if you have questions to ask, then write them down. And in the future, if I'm doing a live as well, you can post the questions even on the in the comments on the post, so that I can answer those questions for you. Those of you who've worked with me in the past will know that I've worked across the board with people in all sorts of areas of their life, and then and also quite specifically in relationships. I'm continuing to do so, but also working very much with people in business and people on purpose and what it is that they're wanting to bring through. And the thing that I've seen in my life professionally really often is, in fact, I could say, a really safe guess, I'd say 90% of the people that I work with, and even probably more people that I know in just general life and meet in general life, is that they suffer from, I can definitely be included in this at some time in my life, that we suffer as human beings from this idea that we're going to find the perfect relationship, or that we're going to find the perfect job, or we have this idea that, and we're holding out for it. And it's a really tricky kind of situation, especially when it comes to making a decision around something like, will I stay in this relationship? Will I marry this person? Will I buy this house? Houses perhaps are a little bit different because you can sell them, although they're a huge investment. I should know because I've recently bought one. And in your place of profession, like if I make the wrong decision, then I'm not going to be happy. And then what we often do is put ourselves in a lot of energy and a lot of effort into choosing the right thing, and then we find ourselves in this position. So now we're in the relationship, or we're in the job, or we bought the house, and at first these things are going to be amazing because everyone's putting their best foot forward. Wherever you are, you're doing your absolute best, you're really present, and you're enjoying the newness of it as well. There's always new things there's always things that you're going to enjoy. Now, if you've entered into a relationship or you've entered into a new career and you're not happy immediately, well, then it's a no-brainer. It's not for you, and you leave. The majority of us will go into these things, and it's down the track that we start to look, once that kind of veneer is worn off from the glossy new thing, then we start to see the cracks, and we start to see what we don't like. And at first, we might try and change them a little bit. We might put a little bit of effort into them. But eventually, somewhere down the line, we start to feel resentful of that person, of our loved one, or of our position that we're in. So maybe it's our boss, or maybe it's the people that we're working with, or maybe it's the decision that we made to go down this career path. We start to feel really resentful. And that's when we start to see all the things that aren't perfect. that we don't like, and we start to question ourselves, and we start to question our decisions, and we start to question the people involved as well. And that's where it really all kind of goes kind of fucked up, to be honest, because we have this idea that we're not going to be sad, we're not going to be lonely, we're not going to be bored, we're not going to be angry when we have the right one. You know, we're not going to be annoyed. I mean, how many people out there have been in a relationship and then all of a sudden the same thing that you loved about this person in the beginning is annoying the hell out of you, and you think to yourself, well, I can't live with this for the rest of my life. And we're encouraged to do this. And this is where the real big issue comes in, is that we have been kind of brainwashed into thinking that we not only can but should find perfection, that if our relationship isn't making us happy all the time, then it's the wrong one. If he or she does something that annoys you, or, you know, even if it's not just a personality trait, but there's something quite integral, like they, you know, they don't have the same thoughts as you on something, or, okay, they're a little bit emotionally unavailable. This is, you know, a really common thing that women have with men, and some men with women as well. But, you know, even if it's the case, is that a good reason to leave a relationship? Is that a good reason to say it's not good enough, so let's go? And this is really unpopular, because we live in a day and age where we're told that things need to be perfect, otherwise get out. And where this is encouraged and supported in so many ways. You know, we live in a throwaway society where nobody stays in the same career for their whole lives anymore. I'm not suggesting that you should, but why is that? It's because it's so easy to employ another person, and it's so easy to go and find another job or change path. And these are not bad things, but they're just a little bit kind of part of the issue that is creating this symptom of us expecting perfection. And we're not getting it, we're questioning it. And you know, a lot of us are trying to, hi Kylie, a lot of us are trying to do the best thing that we possibly can. And so, you know, we're not bad people for doing this. We're just simply questioning ourselves. We don't want to stay in a relationship. We don't want to stay in a job. We don't want to stay somewhere where it's not good for us. And we've been told that things should be perfect. And we're told this in many ways. You know, one of the things, or one of the ways, is that, you know, when it comes to relationships and dating, we live in a throwaway society now. It's no longer that important, you know, when you meet someone, to make it the best, you know, give it a really good crack, because the truth is, all you do is pick up your phone and swipe with another person. It's like catalogue shopping. It's the same with anything, you know, anything's at our fingertips on the internet now, so we can just swipe. And some people might say that that's a really wonderful thing, and it is in some ways, because we don't have to stay stuck in relationships that are really bad. And the same goes for anything, for our careers. You know, we are told we're supposed to be happy, and we're kind of obsessed with the happiness idea that we're supposed to be happy all the time. If we're not, reasons to blame. And this is really what the issue comes down to. If we're not happy, the first two places that we look to are our relationship and our jobs or career. And pick and try and find what's the thing about this person, or what's the thing that's happening right now that's making me sad, or making me angry, or making me not happy. And more often than not, our partners and our careers cop it. We have this kind of perfection projection, is what I call it, where we're brought up in on a diet of movies and advertising that show us that we're supposed to. I mean, all you've got to do is look at a billboard of somebody doing something completely random, like, you know, cleaning the freaking the benches, and they're like ecstatic about it because this product makes you happy. And forget about the product. Our advertising evil has gone so deeper than trying to brainwash us to buy products. It's brainwashed us that things are supposed to be perfect, and if they're not perfect, then there's something wrong. You know, today I was looking at an advertisement. I was in a shopping centre with my son, and the advertisement, it was for a home loan, that's right. And it was this guy in his, late 30s with this girl on his back, and she's on his back, and they're both gorgeous, and he's got his shirt open. He's got like this completely chiseled body. And I'm looking, thinking how hard it is, for us to be able to have a life that's that's just normal, because we're just inundated with this imagery and this idea of how it's supposed to be. So this idea that your relationship or your job or your career is supposed to be perfect and that you're supposed to be happy in it all the time is just ludicrous. It doesn't mean that this is the wrong person for you or the wrong path for you. It really doesn't. One of the most important questions to ask yourself if you find yourself in a situation where you're considering, is this wrong, is this bad for me, is to ask yourself, okay, before I was in this relationship, or before I was in this career path, or before I was following this purpose. Hi, Can. So nice to see you, kind of. Before I was doing these things, was I happy then? Was I at peace then? And the answer will hopefully be yes at times, but what percentage of the time was I happy and at peace and what have you then? And chances are really similar to whatever your answer is now. And what happens is our kind of baseline of happiness doesn't change a lot unless we do a lot of work on it. It pretty much stays the same. It's just, the only thing that changes is whatever it is we're projecting onto because of our unhappiness. And, I'm really passionate about sharing this. Too often see people leaving relationships that are potentially really wonderful relationships and leaving these their sole purpose or a job or a career where it is really much potentially their sole purpose, because their unhappiness issue hasn't gone away. And a lot of us feel like we're a lot more enlightened than that, and that we know, and that we, of course, I don't expect my partner to be perfect. I don't expect to be made happy by my partner, but we do. We all do. I do. It's not a matter of never ever doing it again. It's a matter of becoming aware of it, being able to catch yourself, and then make some other choices. And the way, really, if you really want to move forward and you really want to have a wonderful relationship or follow your soul purpose and do it in a way that gives you absolute joy, really true absolute joy, and be in a relationship where you feel real true joy and real love, there is one way to do it. Truly, there's only one way to do it, and that is, to find out what the things are that are stopping you from being happy and from you feeling at peace, and working on those things. And I'm sorry, it's not a really quick, like, silver bullet to say, oh, if you do this one, make it better. So programs of mine in the past, and you'll know that when you come and do a program with me, as soon as we've started to scratch the surface around what's we really want, as soon as we're ready, the work that we're going to do is going to be on your deep, deep self. And especially when it comes to relationships, whatever experience you're having with the person that's in front of you is, by the law of physics, going to be a reflection of your own state. So, if you're one of those people, and I can attest to this myself, when I started to really understand this is when I started to have a perfect relationship, really, truly. And, my not perfect, and our relationship isn't perfect in the sense, in the traditional sense of the word. And I have to say, though, we do actually get that projection put onto us, and that's because we're really happy, really love each other. Our relationship truly is wonderful, but I'm also really happy and I have a lot of love for myself and my life and my friends and the world, and just in general I have a lot of love for life, and that's reflected in my relationship. And the main reason that I was able to do that was to be in this relationship now is by doing that. And when we have times where we start to slip, then to go back asking myself the question, what's going on for me internally? It's not to say that it's going to be as easy as just making that decision. I mean, that is true. The biggest part of it is recognizing and realizing, accepting that you are expecting your relationship to be perfect. You are your version of perfect. You are expecting your career to be perfect. And if you catch yourself in that and recognize it, that is like the most humongous leap for you in recovery. If you've done that for some, might make a massive shift in itself. I would say that for most people, it's actually then a matter of going, okay, well, what the hell's blocking me from actually feeling what I want to feel now? And then, you know, these blocks and these patterns, I hate word blocks, but these patterns in the old way of addictions, and that's why you'll find yourself always going back into the same kind of relationship or the same kind of position when it comes to, even though it might at the outset, once you're in there, it ends up feeling the same. And it's because we're addicted to our internal experience that occurs. And just really how that works is that, you know, a feeling, emotions have a chemical aspect to them. All of them do. That's not really news. But like any chemical experience that happens within our body, we get used to them, and then we start to crave them and want them. And so when you're used to having this particular emotional release, then we get addicted to it. And so we find ourselves unconsciously following situations that are going to give this experience to us, that are going to feed that addiction. So the way to actually have a relationship that is perfect for you, where you feel happy a percentage of the time that is acceptable to you, that fits with you, first we need to recognize the addiction, break it. Then we need to work out who the hell you are. What is right for you? You know, for some people, I know some people who are in a relationship where it's really calm all the time. And it's not to say they don't have issues, they do, but that's calm, and that's what they love. They love that. And, you know, they go off and they work on their own stuff, and then they come back, and that's wonderful. And then I know other people, myself included, where if it was like that all the time, I'd be bored. I wouldn't enjoy it. I like there to be a bit of passion and a bit of fire. And that even means that sometimes I like to be able to just lose my banana. And that's part of my perfect relationship, but I know that. I don't have a judgment on it. I know where it comes from, and I understand how to be with that, and I let myself enjoy it. And so, you know, so the next thing after recognizing and breaking the addiction is working out who you actually are and what's right for you, getting rid of that fantasy, that ideal, and working out actually what does bring you happiness. And these things are really unconscious. It's hard to do on our own. Once we work out what it is that really makes us happy, then we make some shifts and changes in our deep unconscious, our patterning, so that we can I guess you could call it create an addiction for those things. I mean, it's not really, but creating those new pathways. And that part of it is actually really simple. Of course, the finding out of the unconscious patterns, that's the hard part. But it just makes all the world of difference, and this makes sense. But the first and the biggest thing, and if you can just do this will make some shift in your life, is recognizing that there is no such thing as the perfect anything where you're going to feel happy all the time. Hi, Freya. It's just it just doesn't exist. Hi, Jane. And the you who've just joined, hopefully you can obviously you can listen back to this, but basically I'm just talking about how perfect we think we need to be happy in relationships all the time. We think we need to be happy in our job all the time, but it's not a relationship, and it's not the job of your job to do that. It's your job within yourself to do that. And level of happiness and fulfillment you're experiencing in your life, you will experience that in your relationship or in your job. It's pretty much as simple as that. What that brings us back to is how important it is to do the work in getting to know who the hell you are without all of the external influences, and how to bring those things into the world. And that's the shit, right? The fun stuff. For me, yes, I work with people specifically in relationship and specifically, but they're just the pathways. They're just the pathways to that deeper inner world. That they're the first places where you start to see the changes occur. But it's so deeply, it's generalized and widespread in your life, of course. What's also really interesting, I think, to know, and if anyone has any questions, just pop them down and I'll answer them because I'm going to wrap up soon otherwise. The other thing that I think is really interesting and important to know, and of course, if you have any questions about anything, you can say it doesn't have to be specifically related to this, and I'll do my best. Yeah, so another thing that I think is really important to know, never, if you can help it, never assume that someone else's anything is perfect. If they only ever share the good with you, whatever their reason is for that, but I can guarantee you that it's not perfect, not in the way that you think it is. It might be perfect in the way that they're in deep acceptance and deep about their taking responsibility for their own happiness. That's reflected within their relationship or within their job, within their career. But never let yourself be fooled into the myth. And, you know, check yourself too with what you're looking at. I mean, I'm extremely diligent. I don't watch TV. I think I might watch like a movie every few weeks or something like that. I genuinely don't watch TV. And my hairdresser knows. Awesome hairdresser in North Fitzroy, super cool. And, you know, whenever I sit down, they know never to give me the glossy magazines. I think I like a Marie Claire or something that's quite interesting occasionally, but I usually bring my own and do some work. And they know why, because they're brainwashing. And I'm susceptible to it. Even though I do this work every day, I'm still susceptible to it. I'm still a human being. You know, you look page after page after page of these perfect looking people in these perfect looking relationships. And then again, if you go and read one of the trashier ones, they're all shit. The relationships are all shit. Either way, it's this ideal that we're being fed and force fed. So you've got to unplug. You've got to unplug from that idea, unplug from the magazines, unplug from, I mean, you're not going to stop watching movies and what have you, but next time you do watch one, ask yourself, what's the myth they're feeding me about happiness? And it's not just about relationships and work. Ask yourself, what's the myth that they're feeding me about happiness? You'll start to see, at least awareness to it, you might start to unplug from it. That's really important. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is, you know, we might think that some people have the perfection thing, and we wonder, why don't I? And those people who have their, you know, who's just loving their life and digging their career and, you know, loving their family, loving their relationship, there's two things that's happening there. Two things. One, they were already happy. They already had that level of fulfillment in their life, or they're working on it outside of those situations. And the second thing that's happening is that they have a awareness or deep inner work practice. And that might be really something quite profound and deep. It might be as simple as recognizing that what's important to be present. And I don't mean just like know that, like all of you do know. I mean genuinely. You know, like, for instance, today I was in a shop with my son who's 2.5 and fucking gorgeous. And, you know, I was trying to do stuff. If any of you ever hung out with toddlers, you'll know that it's pretty tough, you know. They want your attention all the time, and he wants my attention all the time. But I was looking for something really specific. And I don't want to tell you what it was because then it'll be like, oh, yeah, so important. But it was shoes. But it was important because it was for my wedding anyway. And then he finally went to the shop and he was stoked because there was a little thing of toys. Great marketing, by the way. There was this little thing of toys and he was getting so into it. I was done and I was ready to go and I asked him to pack up these toys. And he's only 2.5, but I have pretty strong boundaries with him. And the woman, you know, had been chatting with us and I said, pack up your toys. He didn't want to go. He didn't want to pack up his toys. Now, a lot of the time, and those of you who've been around children children will know a lot of the time in this situation what will end up is a tantrum. 2.5, they call it the terrible twos. I have to say that my son has never had a tantrum yet, anyway, crossing fingers, but he had in public. At home, he's had a couple of meltdowns when he's super tired, but not a tantrum. And I put that down to this. Today, for instance, he didn't want to go. So what did I do? I just dropped everything. I got down on the floor and I tuned in and I listened. And yes, it meant that I was going to spend another 5 minutes, so I was going to be running a little bit late. But I got present with him. And you know what? It's probably one of my favorite parts of the day. And the woman said, wow, he's amazing. And he packed up all these toys and he put them away and he said, thank you, bye-bye, thanks for letting me play with your toys. And then we left. No tantrum. Not, other than showing off about how wonderful my son is, the reason I'm telling you this to portray how in that moment I got present. That's the practice. I was present. Happening in that moment, I wasn't going to make anything else. I didn't worry about it. I made my relationship situation my primary focus, not getting somewhere on time. And a lot of people might theoretically understand that, but if you imagine yourself in your everyday life, putting aside your need to be at that place on time, and instead just getting down on your knees and being present with whatever's going on, it might sound like a nice idea to a lot of you, but I imagine that a lot of you wouldn't actually do it. But that's the other thing, the deep inner work, so that you're actually, having that level of happiness and fulfillment in your life. And the second thing that the people are doing, the people who are in this perfect experience, or that you see as being in this perfect experience, they are getting very present in the moment and they're prioritizing relationship. And this even goes for people in business. They're prioritizing relationship over and being present over everything else. Being on time, being right, whatever it is, being present and relationship. So relating to the situation that's happening. I could go on and on and on, but I won't. So just a few things to kind of recap. If there's any other questions or anything, let me know before I chuff off. But just to recap, the idea of perfection generally doesn't exist in the way that we think it does. However, we get into a situation to be perfect, and when the veneer rubs off and we start to realize that it's not perfect, then we think that it's wrong and that we should get out ourselves. And the reason this is the case is because we've been brainwashed, and we really truly have. We've been basically by advertising, be it billboards, be it movies, whatever it is, having us think that that's the case is great for them because then we'll buy more stuff. The big bird, but it's great for industry because then we'll buy more stuff. So what we need to do is recognize that the deep underlying truth, whatever level of happiness and satisfaction you have within yourself is still going to be there when you're in a relationship or when you're in a job or a new career. So if you're experiencing if you're not feeling happy all the time, it's not a relationship, then you need to ask yourself, what level of happiness and fulfillment did I have before entering into this situation? And I will put my money on it that it's the same. 90% of the time it's the same. So then to make the change, we need to first recognize this illusion we've been given of perfection and know that until we're perfect, none of our experiences in life are going to be perfect, and so we're not ever going to be perfect. So recognizing that we need to do the work to discover who I really am, what it is that I actually want for me, not because it's what I've been fed from the outside, because you could fulfill the idea of what you think it is from the outside and you will be miserable. So is to find out who I am, what it is that actually brings me happiness and fulfillment, and then discover what are the patterns that are stopping you from getting that, and then do the work to actually be able to move towards that new way of being. And yes, of course, it's hard to do on your own. Yes, of course, I do this work with people, and there are other people out there that do it too and do a good job of it. And if you want one tool that you can start straight away, meditate. the best. That's what I do. So anyway, thank you for those of you who are here. It's so fun. It's like having a little party, but it's just me. Well, it's just me that I can see. I am going to do more of these. I will try and do them every Monday night. So I will post if I'm going to do one next week and let you all know and what the topic will be. And again, if any of you are interested in anything in particular, if you want to ask any questions about anything, just post it on my wall and I'll address it in one of the lives. And if you're wondering what kinds of things I can help you with, just remember that, yes, I work a lot in relationships and on business, but basically my work is helping people to recognize what it is that blocks them from getting to where they want to be and how to get there. My background is deep into psychology and spirituality, self-awareness. So whatever it is that that you're struggling with or that you want to help with, and believe me, you are so many other people will be happy that you did. Be the mouthpiece, be the person that helps by asking the question that other people are too scared to ask. That's it for tonight. Thank you again all for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you again next week, same time.